Hello and welcome back to the Wrexham Way, and I hope you're doing well today and looking forward to the final episode of Season 2 of the Wrexham Way. And today, we've got one game coming up. We've got Bradford City in the final day of the season, but of course we pretty much wrapped up promotion last time out, and spoiler, we got promoted as you would have expected. Actually, we went on to win the league title too, as you were probably expecting us to do. It's not like a big shock or anything like that, or like the dramatic style that we won the league title in last season when we won it on goal difference ahead of Stockport County. So arguably, this season has been a little easier, but I do want to start talking about next season and a few things about that. So after the Bradford game, we'll get stuck into the nitty-gritty of things. To be fair, since you guys were last here, things haven't been that good, actually, if I'm honest with you. You were last here for the wins against Gillingham and Bolton. We started off with a 4-0 win against Exeter City, which is great, before we lost 2 games in a row. 2-0 to Tranmere, and then 5-4 to Salford in a very interesting, entertaining game there where we somehow messed it up and didn't win the game. The most annoying thing about this, though, is, of course, the 26 shots to 8 shots in that game, and they're 6 on target. It was just one of those FMing games, right? Following that, though, we beat Stevenage 4-0, a 0-0 draw with Mansfield, and then a 3-0 win against Barrow. And at some point in there, we did end up clinching the league title ahead of Forest Green Rovers, who have also been promoted. And with one game to go this season, if we beat Bradford, we're going to ruin their chances of getting automatic promotion. It's quite a big game for Bradford. Luckily for me, as a Lincoln City fan, League One has finished and Lincoln City didn't get relegated, which is quite good. So we will be seeing them next season. But for the final time this season, this is the team taking on Bradford today. Chris Johns in goal with a backline of Kofi Bulmer, Oliver Street and Harry Lennon. Hosanna and Medford Smith make up the back line, or the wing-back roles, with James Jones and Danny Drinkwater just ahead of them. Brandon Covert comes into the attacking midfielder role. He's been actually there for a couple of weeks or so because, where is he? Carney has been injured for a little while, same as Ben Tozer to be fair, so they've just not been playing this past month. So Brandon Covert has come in to provide cover and has done pretty well for himself. But just in front is Shamanga and Paul Mullin. Although Paul Mullin has got 35 goals to his name this season now, Shamanga and Alexander have 16 and 18. It's going to take quite a lot, but I'm going to play them both today in the hope that at least one of them can get to 20 goals. So kickoff is upon us here today, and immediately, highlight for us, Shamanga can't quite get on the end of the throw-in, but Medford Smith, we've seen him score a couple of goals like that this season. Very unlucky not to get the opening goal of the game. But I think we need to talk about the formation first and foremost. We've stuck with a 5 at the back formation, and it's worked brilliantly for us this season. So for me, I've got no qualms in using it again next season. I think it's our first choice formation for next season. I might do a little bit more of a defensive variation as well for it, because I think we will struggle a little bit more next season as we play in League One. Obviously a much better league, as Shamanga gets the first goal of the game. The wing-backs have been essential to us this season. When you press continue, you get some like stats just sort of cycle through. And on dribbles per game per average, or per average game dribbles, what am I trying to say? On average, in a game, how is this so hard to put together in words? Number of dribbles on average per game, I think, is the metric. Bryce Hosanna and Medford Smith are both up there with 5 and 4 per game, number 1 and number 2. So clearly, they are big parts of this team, so they need to be very good at dribbling, and they are quite good at dribbling as well, which is very handy for us. So they have been very important. Obviously, the wing-backs are very important as part of the formation. So potentially we could look to strengthen there a little bit, but they've been superb this season, so I don't really feel the need to. Same at centre-backs. I mean, I'm struggling to think where we should be strengthening. We don't have a huge budget next season as well. That came through. When we got promotion, we had the budget come through. And because we spent £2 million on youth facilities, we've not got that much money. One area that I do think we need to strengthen is probably the centre of midfield. James Jones is fine. Danny Drinkwater only had like a 7-month contract. He wants a new one, or if I offer him a new one, he wants like $4,500 a week, which I'm not quite prepared to pay, particularly because he's on like $3,000 right now. Tristan Needham will be leaving. Ollie Clark and Kieran Wallace, I'm not entirely sure I'm convinced by either of those. So we could do with a couple of centre mids potentially coming in. And then we come to strikers. Well, strikers have been brilliant all season. No need to really replace them. So for me, I don't think we need to make that many signings. and I'd like to give some of our youth players a chance next season too. But of course, we can look a bit more in depth into that one at the end of the episode after this game against Bradford, who are coming forward right now, looking to get themselves back in this game. Of course, they need to win if they want to have a chance of automatic promotion this season, which they're not going to get. Of course, if we win, we get to be in the 100-point club because we'll get to 3 figures if we win this game. Draw it, only 99 points. Win it, we get to 101 points. And that is something that is quite the achievement as Shamanga scores his 2nd of the game, his 18th of the season, tied now with George Alexander on number of goals. And annoyingly for Bradford City, Leyton Orient aren't winning. Or they are now. Literally, as I say that, they start to win. They were drawing. So even if Bradford were winning, they would not get promoted. So it looks like it's going to be Leyton Orient's day as they look to get promoted. As that's a header off the line there from Medford Smith. Really good defending from him. He's been solid this season. Well, not that solid because he was then out of position, wasn't he? But it has been disallowed, so it's fine. You love to see it. Although maybe it was a little bit harsh saying he was out of position when it was literally on the line for a corner and he had to try and run to defend where he just literally couldn't get there in time. So maybe that's a little bit harsh. What's not harsh though is another goal for Harry Lennon. Just to round off a beautiful season, it's another corner goal. We've got quite a few of those this season. And so as the clock ticks down, it's full time here today. A great 3-0 win on the final day of the season to cap off what I think is a remarkable season. We knew that we were going to be there or thereabouts looking at the pre-season preview, the good players that we brought in and the good players we already had, but I was not quite expecting the dominance that we have had. And so with that, promotion. League One next season, back-to-back league titles, it's pretty good going. I mean, not many league teams have done that. In fact, I thought Luton had done it, but Luton hadn't done it. They came second. Because Luton in 2016-17... I'm lying to you, didn't win the National League. Wait, Luton won it in 13-14. I thought they had like back-to-back promotions. I thought they won it in 2013-14 and then 14-15 got promoted. No, it actually took them a few years to get promoted. Or unless they got promoted from League 2 and then was it League 1 they then won the season afterwards in 18-19? Yes, it was. Okay, so similar sort of thing, but just not quite National League, League 2. Coventry, to be fair, did something very similar. They got promoted the season before. They won League 1 then, and then the season before, they got promoted via the playoffs, didn't they? So it's not quite unheard of, but it's a very, very impressive achievement for us nonetheless. So, as I was saying, sorting it by contract expiring, Lainton is going to leave the club, Tristan Needham is going to leave the club as well. Conor Bradley and Carney will go back to their parent clubs, but Danny Drinkwater, who's been very good, I'd kind of like to keep him around for another season. Offer a new contract. He wants to be an important player, deep line playmaker, get rid of that. Make him a regular starter, suggest, finalise the promises. He wants 4.2 grand a week on a 2-year deal. He'll be 35 by the time that ends. He's already only a good League 2 player. He's not going to be League 1 level. I think it would be silly to give him a new contract on that sort of money with himself declining as a player. So I'm going to walk away from it. I think Danny Drinkwater is going to leave the club at the end of the season. But for me, like, everyone's done well enough this season to earn a place playing next season. I think, potentially, if we're being harsh, players like Kieran Wallace, Ollie Clark might end up leaving the club. Callum McFadzean, Ben Tozer, I might try and sell those on as well. So I don't think there's going to be a big turnover next season. But of course, we never really know what's going to happen until we get, of course, through to the transfer special, which will be out tomorrow. Thing is, I also want to give some youth players a chance, notably Rob Street, who I'm going to struggle to fit into the team. He's a striker, been out on loan at Barnet this season and scored 23 goals, the second top scorer in the National League. He's 6'2", his heading is 11, his jumping reach is 14. He's pretty decent, right? Strong player. 8 finishing a little low, so I wouldn't really use him as an advanced forward, but I think that's what Barnet have been using him as in the National League. And he got 23 goals, so I mean, fair enough, right? But of course, the National League is one thing, League One is a completely different thing. So I'd like to give him a chance. Does he beat Shamanga? Does he beat Mullin? Does he beat Alexander? I don't think so. So knowing what to do with Rob Street next season is going to be difficult. Another player who had a very good season out on loan. For some reason, Jezreel Davis and James Fotheringham have already come back from loan. Not entirely sure why, but James Fotheringham, he played in the National League with Kings Lynn Town. He got 14 goals in a Kings Lynn Town side that got relegated. He did everything he could. Like 14 goals for a team that has gone on to finish bottom of the National League is actually pretty impressive. I mean, how many goals did they get overall? 44 goals in all competitions. He got 14 of them, which is basically a quarter of them, right? That's good going. So in a season where Kings Lynn Town did pretty badly, he's had a very good season, but again, difference between National League and League One is quite different. He's also still only a National League standard player, so I think James might go on loan again next season, maybe. Jezreel Davis, by the way, had a pretty decent season out at Eastleigh. Decent amount of assists, like it's nothing special, but you know, it's good progress at least. Other good performers was Jim McBangled at Halifax, actually. He had a very good season. He's a centre midfielder, to be fair, so shouldn't really be getting in the goals or assists, but did get 7 assists, 4 goals, so I think that's a pretty decent return for Jim. Again, potentially could be the answer to the ball-winning midfielder role that we have in the team. National League standard though, but Championship potential. Why not try him out, you know? Kai Corbett had a good loan spell at Southend too, but I'm not really planning on using wingers, so he will probably end up going out on loan again. Harry Boyes out at Woking again. He's left backish. You know, could come in as cover on that left-hand side. League 2 standard player. Maybe Harry Boyes gets a bit of a shout and a nod next season. Ronaldo at York City. Again, he's sort of a wide player. Can play through the middle. Has had a good season at York. Very good, actually. 5 goals, 8 assists. Nothing to be sniffed at that. We'll have to see how he does. Jem Finley in the centre of midfield. Could come as a backup to James Jones, potentially. League 2 standard player. Had a good season at Dulwich Hamlet. 7 goals, 8 assists. There are quite a few players here who could do pretty well. We've got Gary here as well, who's more of the CDM, can play centre-back. Had a good season at loan, League 2 standard, Championship potential. I think there's a lot of players here that I want to give a chance to. Not Max Cleworth or Jake Hyde. I don't think either of those two are particularly good. Jake Hyde isn't. Max Cleworth maybe has League 2 potential. I don't know. There's definitely players to promote. And there will definitely be more players to promote in the future as well, because, well, I've done it again. That little message that comes up saying Premier League teams are releasing some players, I got on the hype again. Arsenal hate their players, clearly. They've let go of quite a few of them. Actually, Arsenal and Tottenham, that's all it is. They let go of some players, and we thought, why not? Let's try and grab some of them after being on trial with us for 4 weeks. So I don't think we'll have any info right now. We do a bit of info, to be fair. Nothing major info-wise. We'll go through them more properly in tomorrow's transfer special. But all 5 of these players, supposedly, have Championship potential. So, what is the aim next season? Aim for me next season is to survive League 1. I think the step up from League 2 to League 1 is going to be big. And I think we should have enough about ourselves to not get relegated, but I don't think we're going to be a title-winning team. Anything like that. I mean, Millwall, MK Dons and Rotherham relegated from the Championship. No, now, I'm sorry to those teams and those fans, but they're not big teams, right? Millwall potentially, right? But, you know, bit of a has-been, aren't they? But it's not like we're getting, I don't know, a Reading or a Preston or a Forest being relegated. There are some big players on big wages in League 1. I mean, any of these teams in the playoffs should be getting promoted, right? Ipswich, let's have a quick look at their senior squad. Wages, I mean, some players on 12 grand there. We can't compete with 12 grand, even though we have got a lot of money ourselves. We can't compete with 12 grand. Sheffield Wednesday, nearly 10 grand for some of their players, although that's only on loan. A player they own is on £8.2 thousand a week. Again, more than we can really pay. Sunderland must be on some big wages, right? And 8 grand, 7 grand, 6 grand, yeah, some big wages there. And if we look at Derby County as well, senior squad, 16 grand, 8 grand, yeah, it's a lot of money. Also valued at £102 million. We're valued at £3.79 million. So there's going to be a big gulf in quality next season, a big gulf in reputation too. Signing players will be difficult when they know they can go to other clubs in League 1 with more reputation. We have our own secret weapons, Paul Mullen, James Jones, Harry Lennon, all the lads, really. So next season for me is going to be really interesting. And it's going to start tomorrow with the transfer special. So get your eyes peeled for the sub boxes for that one, because that is going to be exciting. So thank you very much for watching today. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have done, drop a like on the video for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and leave a comment down below for the YouTube algorithm. Until next time, have a good one. Goodbye.